Inside a dark pit, a man wakes up feeling disoriented. He has no memory of who he is or how he ended up there. After cracking his joints, he checks his pockets and finds a lighter and some keys. Using the lighter, he notices a wound on his arm. As he looks around, he's shocked to find hundreds of dead bodies surrounding him. The horrifying sight makes him vomit. Suddenly, lightning flashes, and he notices a woman with brown eyes watching him from above. She quickly disappears, and the man yells for help while moving toward the edge. He accidentally steps on a gun. Brown Eyes returns and throws down a rope, allowing him to climb out. Once out, he searches the area and finds a house with its lights on. Inside, he hears people discussing whether they should help him, suspecting he might be dangerous. Bursting into the room with his gun drawn, he confronts a man named Lucas, who raises a shotgun in defense. They accuse each other of being the killer. The man insists he remembers nothing and explains Brown Eyes helped him, demanding to know why. The tense conversation is interrupted when another man, Nathan, collapses in pain. Sharon rushes to him, offering water to calm him down. The man asks who they all are. Sharon explains none of them remembers their past, only their names from IDs they found, though there's no ID for the man or Brown Eyes. Some have keys, but there are no vehicles, phones, or computers around. The man notices Brown Eyes writing in Chinese, but since no one can understand it, he yells questions at her. The others explain she's mute and doesn't speak English, though she seems to know them. The group woke up in the house together half an hour earlier, and she was already there. Lucas distrusts the man, pointing out he woke up in the pit, unlike everyone else. As they explore the house, Sharon finds a locked door, but none of the keys work. Lucas discovers wounds on his body, which Brown Eyes tries to explain through gestures, though he doesn't understand. In the pantry, the man finds a calendar with April 18th circled. When he asks Brown Eyes if she marked it, she nods but fails to communicate its meaning. Michael calls everyone over to show them a closet full of weapons. Easily loading a gun, he suggests he might be a cop. The man suggests arming themselves and investigating the area, but Lucas convinces them to wait until morning. Later, while treating his wound, the man has a brief memory of himself. After showering, he hears the group saying Brown Eyes has run away. Lucas, Sharon, and the man search for her in the woods. Sharon notes the bright stars indicate they aren't near a city. The man has a memory of dragging a body with a seahorse tattoo, but says nothing. Following a foul smell, they find a dead man tied to a tree. Meanwhile, Nathan discovers books in Latin and realizes he can read them. The books seem to cover medical and biological topics. Michael, fooling with weapons, claims his body remembers how to use them. In the forest, the trio finds an old shack where Brown Eyes is feeding a tied-up woman. When the woman sees the man, she hides, accusing him of using her. Panicking, she attacks him while screaming about a daughter, so the man knocks her out with his weapon. Lucas notices a camera on the ceiling, realizing someone is watching. Back at the house, the man tries opening a locked door with his keys but fails. Nathan speaks to him in Latin, and the man shockingly replies in the same language. Nathan feels a connection with him and Sharon, suspecting they knew each other. Naming the man John Doe, Nathan explains the door is reinforced iron and can't be forced open. The next day, the group searches for cars. Michael insists on joining, proving his shooting skills by hitting a mug midair. Lucas tells him to stay and guard the house. While searching, the group finds 2 cars hidden under debris. Sharon manages to start one, though it's low on gas. They find a photo of the group, except for John, who suggests he might be the photographer. Lucas warns against leaving, as they could get stranded. On their way back, they find Brown Eyes leading them to Michael, who's severely injured. Despite their efforts, he dies. Enraged, John shoots the attacker, triggering a memory of smashing a woman's head against a wall. Grabbing Nathan's keys, he and Sharon leave in the working car. They find an abandoned building with the number 18 painted on a wall and a truck in the garage. Sharon sees a child's reflection in a mirror. Hearing him inside, they try the locked door. The child calls John Jonah, warning him to leave because they're coming tomorrow. A dog appears, barking furiously. When the child threatens to order the dog to attack, Jonah loses his temper, shooting and striking the lock to no avail. Sharon calms him, revealing they seem to know each other. Back at the house, Lucas recalls memories of being chased, caged, and found by Brown Eyes. In the present, he grips her hand tightly, scaring her. Nathan intervenes, making Lucas hear echoes that worsen his condition. Nathan realizes Lucas is getting sicker. Returning to the shack, they find the prisoner has escaped. Nathan recalls a path around the lake and decides to follow it in search of the missing woman. As he walks, flashes of past memories in this area come back to him. Eventually, he stumbles upon a group of cabins surrounded by bodies. When he accidentally steps on a pair of glasses, he recognizes them as his and puts them on. This triggers a memory of an argument with Sharon and Jonah about the inhumane treatment of certain people. Regaining composure, Nathan looks inside the cabins and finds empty cages. Hearing crying, he follows the sound to discover the woman from the shack hugging her dead daughter inside a cage. He remembers her name, Helen, and apologizes for her daughter's death, explaining they were trying to help. Furious, Helen lunges at him, forcing Nathan to slam the cage shut and escape the cabin. Locking the front door behind him, he notices zombie-like figures approaching and readies his gun. Meanwhile, Brown Eyes returns to the house and finds Lucas waiting. Feeling uneasy, she runs upstairs. Lucas follows, begging her not to leave him alone, but Brown Eyes hides behind the reinforced door. Desperate, Lucas bangs on it, promising he won't hurt her and claiming he remembers her. When she doesn't open, Lucas gives up and heads outside, eventually discovering a door to the basement. In the basement, he finds a small lab filled with medical supplies, research notes, and a laptop. Turning it on, Lucas accesses security camera footage from the cabins. He then finds a video of Jonah documenting an experiment involving a man he found in the woods. Jonah refers to this as Day 96. The captured subject is Lucas, undergoing a blood transfusion from Brown Eyes. Jonah mentions progress, though the memory loss side effect persists. The video ends with Lucas screaming in agony from severe headaches as the transfusion's effects fade. On the road, Jonah and Sharon encounter a fallen tree blocking their way. As they investigate, they find a group of people cutting trees. When Jonah approaches to talk, the group screams and chases them with deadly intent. Sharon trips, but Jonah helps her up, and they manage to reach the car. Unable to start it, Jonah pushes the vehicle while the attackers close in. Just as they're about to be caught, the group notices two bodies hanging from trees, acting as makeshift scarecrows. Terrified, the attackers retreat. Jonah and Sharon return to the house, where Lucas waits with a weapon drawn. He accuses Jonah of wrongdoing, showing Sharon the video and pointing out needle marks on his own arms. Sharon checks herself and finds similar marks. Jonah claims he doesn't remember, but Lucas knocks him unconscious. When Jonah regains consciousness, he finds himself being dragged by Lucas, who forces him into the pit at gunpoint. Among the bodies, Jonah recognizes a seahorse tattoo and recalls attacking the woman it belonged to. More memories flood back, Nathan telling him to take it himself, Sharon and the others being terrified of him, and Sharon asking if he had gotten blood in his mouth. At the house, Lucas grows increasingly desperate to leave, struggling to recall everyone's names. His behavior worsens. He grabs Brown Eyes inappropriately, and when Sharon intervenes, he knocks her down. Brown Eyes tries to hide behind the reinforced door, but Lucas catches up before she can lock it. Lucas chases after Brown Eyes, who kicks him down, but he quickly recovers and pulls her to the ground. Crawling on top of her, he forces a kiss. Sharon intervenes with a warning shot, causing Lucas to escape by jumping through a window. Afterward, Sharon discovers the lab and finds notes about the experiments, which trigger her memories. Meanwhile, Brown Eyes uses a rope to help Jonah climb out of the pit. She then draws the number 18 on the ground and points toward an abandoned building. Jonah realizes they're short on time and insists she stay behind while he investigates. At the abandoned building, Jonah discovers tents, a family photo of a child, and a cage with blankets. Finding a box triggers a memory of him handing it to someone and calling it their last chance. Inside another box, he finds a map and recalls telling the person to follow the marked route. Hearing noises, Jonah follows them into another room, where he encounters two zombified people. One of them roars, causing him to drop his car keys, which she swallows. When she attacks, Jonah shoots her and retrieves the keys from her body. Following the map, Jonah finds a child with their family trying to leave in a car. An armed elderly woman recognizes him and accuses him of hurting them, warning him to stay away. As the family drives off, Jonah notices a sick teenager panicking in the back seat. Nearby, Jonah finds the box from his flashback containing vials, which triggers another memory, him cutting into a brain and telling someone the army would be waiting. He discovers the car from the memory crashed, with the driver dead inside. Jonah retrieves a map and a document with his name and a photo of him with Sharon, confirming they're a couple. Suddenly, a car speeds toward him, and he jumps out of the way. The driver is Lucas, who looks severely ill. Seeing Lucas triggers Jonah's realization. He hasn't been torturing people but has been studying infected humans to find a cure. He rushes to get a vial but is tackled by Lucas, who tries to strangle him. Jonah grabs a rock and hits Lucas in the head, killing him. As Lucas dies in his arms, Jonah's memories return. Jonah remembers working with Sharon, Michael, and Nathan. Lucas had been their first successfully cured patient and even thanked them. However, during their celebration, a woman escaped her cage and attacked, forcing Jonah to kill her. Jonah blamed Nathan for not securing the cages, and Nathan told him to dispose of the body alone. While doing so, Jonah heard on the radio that all the zombies had escaped. He instructed the others to inject themselves with a cure to survive, explaining their memory loss. Jonah was bitten by a zombie before being pushed into the pit, where he injected himself and passed out. Back at the house, Nathan reunites with Sharon, and they remember their siblings. Suddenly, 2 zombies break through the door. Sharon quickly shoots them, but hears more coming. Realizing the scarecrows no longer work, the siblings defend themselves but soon run out of bullets. Losing hope, Sharon writes a note for Jonah, explaining their doctor searching for a zombie virus cure and that Brown Eyes is immune. In the hidden room, Brown Eyes trembles at the sound of screams outside. A helicopter arrives, killing the zombies within seconds. Nathan remembers the 18th is the day the rescue team was due. He runs outside, yelling for help, but the soldiers surround him and shoot him dead. Jonah arrives in time to witness Nathan's death and finds Sharon hiding nearby. They flee together, but a zombie attacks Sharon, wounding her. Jonah kills it, but the gunfire alerts the soldiers, forcing them to hide in the pit. Inside, they inject themselves with the cure to play dead. Before passing out, Sharon kisses Jonah and hands him her letter. The soldiers toss more bodies into the pit, including the child's, and leave. Later, Jonah awakens to find Sharon dead. He retrieves a gun but accidentally steps on her letter, leaving it unread. Brown Eyes appears, throwing him a rope to help him climb out. Together, they cross the forest and discover a massive pit filled with thousands of bodies. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.